I want to introduce you to Andres Gill. He came down here from New York with 3 females. All of them are in the country illegally. Did you hear what I said? They're all here illegally. He's the one that comes with them to drive them. These ladies are all controlled by a human trafficker. We think their human trafficker is a female. She sets up their appointments. She puts their ads online. She tells them where to go. And by the way, on Friday, the victims of human trafficking, and we've graded them out, 3 of them that are here illegally from Venezuela, 3 of them have to pay her $3,000 apiece on Friday, or else they're threatened. So they're not free. They're really indentured, and they're quote-unquote paying off their debt. Now, here's what they told us, all right? I'm sure the federal government will verify that this is not true, but you decide who you want to believe, whether you want to believe these victims of human trafficking or the whitewash the federal authorities give you. They said that when they came into the country illegally, DHS gave them a form, an ID paperwork that allows them to fly for free. You know, Southwest would let your bags fly free. Well, the federal government will let your illegal immigrants fly free. And they operate out of New York. And they were working up there, and the New York authorities said, hey, if you don't have identification, you can't work in our sex trade up here. You know, we don't allow sex trade here at all, but New York will allow you to do some stuff if you got the proper authority. So they say they make a lot of money. They're addicted to it. They tell us that they fly to major metro centers for free on the federal government, where they set up their appointments for sex all around the country. Did you hear what I said? Listen, folks, if they don't pay $3,000 apiece on Friday, they're in trouble. The human sets up the deal. Hey, this deal is just outside of Tampa. They say they show this ID, this card, this paper. They fly for free down here. Then they fly back. But we heard a similar theme from all 21 of these folks. We can't work legally. We're addicted to this cash. It's a lot of cash and it's quick, so we have to give $3,000 a week. We get to keep everything above that. We have a crisis at the border. And because of the crisis at the border, we have people that are victimizing illegal folks, forcing them into the sex trade because we allow these criminals in the country illegally. We all rail about this and nobody pays any attention. And then we want to politic everything. Oh, we had a good piece of legislation that limited the average to only 5,000 illegals a day in the country, and then we can shut it off. Well, if you can shut it off at 5,000 people illegally coming in this country a day, you can shut it off at no people illegally coming in this country a day. But the politicians are politicking while the victims are being victimized. I read an article this week that says, well, the illegals coming here aren't committing crime at any greater percentage than the people who are here illegally. What they didn't tell you is if they weren't here illegally at all, the crime they would commit here would be 0. So we're being victimized. But that doesn't make any difference on the national level. You see, because they set up there behind their gated communities and in Congress, and they play politics back and forth between the two parties, wow. Illegals are victimized, citizens are victimized, children are victimized. You got this goofy-looking kid here who's making sure that they come up with $3,000 a week apiece, and he's here illegally. It's a mess, and it doesn't have to be. If we can deal with it and catch it on the local level, they can stop it on the federal level. Shame on all of them, every one of them, for not getting together and saying, you know, there are things bigger in this country than my individual politics. Now what happens is we gather all these cases together and we send them to the state attorney's office. And we're fortunate in this state to have Brian Haas as our state attorney. He is simply outstanding. His team is outstanding. He gets it. He gets the 30,000-foot picture. He gets the ground picture. He is an advocate for the victims, and he's going to prosecute the suspects to the fullest extent of the law, for which I'm grateful. But with that, do you have questions of any of us?
So within the span of a year, you were able to arrest or rescue, they were identified 15 victims, potential victims of human trafficking. This is a new record for you. So is that indicative that this problem is growing worse year after year, or?
I think it's indicative that we are finding the victims. We have seen, and you have covered for years in the media, about the human trafficking problem across the United States, and Florida being a vacation state and a sunny state is certainly no exception to that. It is also an attribute to our NGOs because, as Chief Parker said, they see them for the long term. If it was a one and done on the night of the arrest, these numbers wouldn't be 58. We'd be lucky if they were 3. But they continue to follow up and continue to follow up to rescue them. So while I'm totally excited because we've never seen these numbers, the biggest problem we have in this type of investigation is getting the victims to admit they're victims because they're more afraid of their pimps and the human traffickers than they are of the criminal justice system. And it's only through the work of these ladies and their teams that that happens.